Hi, and welcome back to the second look at the CDs that are normally on this shelf behind me. We're going to dive straight in. We're at the letter J, and we're kicking it all off with James Taylor. Now, this album I first saw it in 1977, the same day as I saw the album by Carly Simon that I talked about in the previous video. Now, I took this and borrowed it off of my brother, heard it, and was completely turned on to James Taylor by this. It's a fantastic album. It's got songs on here that are a cover of a Motown record. It's a song that I used to sing to my youngest son when he was laid in bed before he went to sleep of a night time. I've been wandering early and late from New York City. This is close to my heart, a great album. Carrying on with James Taylor, we have this one, Classic Songs, which is the obvious one that you'd go out and buy. All the greatest hits, if you like. It's got Fire and Rain. Suzanne, the plans he made put an end to you. It's got Mexico, You Got a Friend, Carolina on My Mind. So many great records on there. Another brilliant one from my collection. And the third and final James Taylor one on this part is Hourglass. This is a great album. The first time I heard it, really, was when I bought the DVD of James Taylor live at the Beacon, because it came out the same year as this album. And so many of the songs were played in the concert. And so I learned more about him from that. And this is just a brilliant album. Lots of great songs on it. Line 'em up. Somebody line 'em up, line 'em all up. The one that I really like is Enough to Be On Your Way, which is a sad song, really, because it's about the death of his brother. It shines on everything that happens here on earth. Great CD, though. I'm so pleased to have it. Moving on, this one's a little gem. I first heard J.D. McPherson on the radio, and the song that he played was Northside Gal. And yet, when I heard it, I thought it was Little Richard. And it's a brilliant little rockabilly album. Few great tracks on it, and the rest of it is well worth a listen. I really enjoyed having this one. And it's the first time I'd heard of him. I haven't heard of him since, I'm afraid to say, but great, great album. Every time I try, crazy about a Northside Gal. Let's go to Cornwall now. Joss Stone. This was the album that kicked it all off from me. I heard the song on it, Super Duper Love, and thought, wow, she sounds good. That you really care. And buying the album doesn't make me think any differently of it. It's a really good album right the way through. The other single, of course, was Fell in Love with a Boy, but it's good all the way through. At the very end of it, there's a long version of the Isley Brothers song For the Love of You, and that's well worth a listen as well. Another great album. Moving on, let's go to Level 42. Now, I've liked Level 42 since the album The Early Tapes, I think it was called, came out in 1980. I had loads of their singles, loved their 12-inch singles. I think it's Mark King's Slap Bass, really, really brilliant. The big album, of course, was the one before this, Running in the Family. I have that as well somewhere else in here. But this is a good album. Tracy was the big hit of it. Staring at the Sun's good. Heaven in My Hands. There's a lot of great music on here. If you like Level 42, I think you'll like this one as well. Now, the next one, I have a little story for you. Do you remember that when you go back in the days of CDs coming out for the first time and they told us they were indestructible? Well, I bought a CD player, but not before I'd bought a CD. They'd said they're indestructible. They'll never damage them. And so what I did, I went out and bought this. It was £1. Lionel Richie's Say La. You know, sometimes I sit and wonder. It was a CD single. And I bought it. It came in a cardboard case. And this is the CD itself. I put it in a brown bag, put it about 2 foot in front of my car, I drove over it that way and broke back over it. So I gave it the little indestructible test, and sure enough, it's still with me all these years later, and it's never failed to play properly. Very lucky with that, I should think. But that's Lionel Richie, C'est La. Next up, the great Lonnie Donegan. Now, when I was a kid, I've talked in the last video about my dad's reel-to-reel tapes and the songs that were on them that I loved. Well, there were a lot of Lonnie Donegan songs on these tapes. There were songs like I Want to Go Home.
Over the 7 seas we did roam.
Nobody Loves Like an Irishman.
Yet long may he pray with his Alcoran before he can love like an Irishman.
Oh, just loads of them. Really, really good. So I got into Lonnie Donegan as a little boy. In the October of 2002, I was living in Weymouth, and at the Pavilion, Lonnie Donegan was going on tour and he was coming there. So I went to see him. I took 2 of my friends with me. I said, they didn't want to go. They didn't know who Lonnie Donegan was or anything like that. I said, come on, mate. He's brilliant. You'll love him. And if you don't like him, I'll give you your money back afterwards. So anyway, they came along with us and they thought he was just brilliant. And I hung around afterwards like you do, like a fan groupie. And Lonnie Donegan came out and he was selling copies of this, which is a little box set collection called Rock Island Line. And it has all of the A and B sides of all of his singles from 1955 to 1967. And I got him to sign it for me, which he did. I've got a photo of him, a couple of photos I had with him, and I was so pleased. He was suffering from a really bad cold that night when we went to see him. And when I was talking to him, he was sneezing and he didn't seem well at all. And yet, in the concert itself, he'd been fantastic, bopping about around the stage, singing nicely all these songs. As many of you will know, Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavour? Well, he sang that there. And The Battle of New Orleans was another one of his great hits.
In 1814 we took a little trip along with Colonel Packham down the mighty Mississippi.
And so I was pleased to get this. 3 weeks later, however, I was really sad to hear that whilst on this tour, he'd complained of feeling ill, had a heart attack and died. He died about 3 weeks after we'd seen him. So I was really pleased because he was one of my first heroes. So at least I did get to see him while he was still alive. So this is one of those CDs that I don't think I could ever part with. This is a gem. Moving on, Michael Jackson's Bad.
Jump on, get on me. All right.
I wasn't a great fan of Michael Jackson. I liked some of his records. I loved Off the Wall, the album Off the Wall, which I think was his best work. I've got Thriller. We all got enticed by Thriller and that video, didn't we? And so I ended up buying this. There's a few records on here I like. There's a couple on here I don't. But it's still as good an album as you're going to find from Michael Jackson. I love the end track on it, funnily enough. Leave Me Alone. I really like that. We did go and see him as well. He was on the tour of the Bad tour at Wembley. We went and saw him. And I was really surprised at how good a stage artist he was. And the show itself of the concert was brilliant. Can't knock that at all. But he wasn't one of my favourites. But I do still have this in my collection. Now let's go to the letter O. And back in 1977, I was just getting into that disco groove. I started DJing in 1977. And I can remember this classy 12-inch single come out. And I didn't know who it was. And it turns out it was by a group called Odyssey. And the song I'm talking about is Native New Yorker.
You grew up riding the subways, running with people.
I loved it. I turned it over, played the other side. And the other side was a song called Ever Loving Sam. I liked that as well.
But what do they know about love, Sam?
And so I went out and bought the album. The album was 4 or 5 okay records. One brilliant one being Native New Yorker itself. And a couple of really rubbish ones. But over time, they brought out a lot of singles that I liked. So when I came across this, it was a 3-box set. It features all of the singles and all of the 12-inch versions of them as well. So I picked this up, and I can't say I'm unhappy with it because there's a lot of good songs on there. Unfortunately, the filler from the first album isn't on here. So it's got all of the best of that first album, and obviously from albums afterwards. Really, really good. We're in the R's now, the last letter I'm going to do in this roundup. And I'm going to start off with an artist that my dad liked. My dad had an album of his, just the one, but it was enough that piqued my interest. And the artist I'm talking about is Ray Conniff. Now, when my dad died, I started feeling nostalgic about my dad's albums and started collecting them again. And so I rebought the album that my dad had had and played it quite a lot, really, and started to get into it, I suppose. And then I saw this, which is 14 albums between 1955 and 1962. And it's full of the stuff you would expect Ray Conniff to do. It's great orchestrations. The singers are really, really good. And it's just a pleasure to have. It's an album that I go back. You know when many times when you just feel like lying back and chilling and having to listen to something different? This is a go-to. It's a box of albums that I play quite a lot. And do you know what? I'm not at all embarrassed to admit it. Now, this one is Richard T. And it's called Stroking, obviously with a golf ball on it. And I'd first come across Richard T in 1979 when I bought a 12-inch single. It was a cheap one. It had 4 tracks on it, 4 different artists. It was called Turn on the Tap. And one of the songs on there was an instrumental by him called First Love. It was the only song I think I'd heard of him at all. And then years and years later, I was looking through a website and found this album, which was on CD. It was fairly cheap. And so I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. I remember that First Love. That was all right. And when it turned up, First Love is the first track on it. So I thought, oh, that's not too bad then. And it's quite a good album. He's an accomplished pianist. So if you like that sort of thing, then this may well do for you. But there's a great cover version of Stevie Wonder's Jesus Children of America. It came off of his Inner Visions album, and the cover of it is really good. It's an instrumental album. And it's one that I've enjoyed over the years, which brings me to my final CD of the day. But this one, this would be my guilty pleasure choice, I suppose. It's Russ Conway's Greatest Hits. Now, if you remember the last video, I said to you, some of my albums, I'm going to say these are great. Oh, you need to listen to them. And then there are others that I say, don't judge me. Well, this is one of my Don't Judge Me albums. Russ Conway takes me back to being a kid. My dad's reel-to-reel tapes once again come into my life, and there are loads of his records on there. There's one in particular that I loved as a kid, and I still love it now, called Lucky 5. This has got all of the greatest hits. You know, the ones that everybody knows. Roulette, Side Saddle. Loads of others as well. It's a great album if you're someone like me. Lots of people will just turn their nose up at it and talking about it being rubbish. But I tell you what, I love a bit of Plinky Plonk, and that has it in spades. It's great. I just love it. 65 minutes and 24 seconds. I think it was about a £5, so well cheap and well worth it. I love this album, and I play it a lot, more than you would imagine. And so that ends today's little collection of CDs that I wanted to talk about. The next one will be from the letter S to the end, and some compilations as well. So we got one more video to come of the CDs before we get into that rack of records. I'll see you next time.